Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day.
Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Constable. This episode I'll talk about, one of the things is that's what I realize as you're getting richer and stuff like that. Some of the solutions that you had when you're poor or when you were in a worse situation becomes more destructive than constructive. Because what happened was that. So what happened is that when you're poor, you're more scared in a scarcity mindset. So you were trying to save more. It's trying to so like boom, you have things like boom accumulate pans and stuff to store more water and all these things. Now that as so I use this like an example with my grandmother and stuff like that. So even though even when she had a lot of water storage, she would always have her pan filled with water and stuff, and storing extra water because what she was coming from a time when there was so lack of water, so much lack of water. That's the time she was coming from. So yeah, she would always have this paranoia of what water finishing. So every one of her major thing was that she would always have to try to have water store. She'd store water everywhere she can because she don't want to have that. And then what happened was that in her older years, it became a detriment because what happened was that when she was lifting all those pans, it actually started affecting her back and all those stuff and then boom, eventually it actually affected her. So it's like just one of those things where I realized that but she was not wrong. It was that it was just a victim of her time, her circumstances. She's that the and that's it. But episode where it's been like you see some people in some stupid situation and you wonder why they would be in that situation. It's because that situation is way more preferable than where they were before. So yeah, a little back pain to her was minor compared to the fact of being in that situation when she didn't have any water because I've lived through those times as well and it was really devastating. So it's like she would so that's the thing where I realized that even though if she passed away, she her passing away the way she goes, that is a better situation now than where she was before in because yo she was coming from a time. So that's one of those things where I realized that you can't look back on this journey. You have to always look forward. And the thing is that when you're going forward and going to the future, certain solutions that you had in the poor times, they were valid then. But if you want to upgrade, you have to actually leave them behind. And the thing is that sometimes you don't leave them behind in the sense that you don't forget those lessons because you may reach a point where boom, you drop way back down and then those lessons are valid again. Like for example, boom, somewhat I'm in a better position, but what happened was that because of a mistake by me, I turned on the pipe and left to go to work, then forgot to turn it off, or the water finished. So that filling pan habit that my grandma usually had became effective in this type of situation to actually offset this issue. So it's good to not forget the solution but know that okay, eventually reach a point where that solution now is more of a detriment, that more of a destructive than constructive. So the thing is now to recognize when it's becoming destructive and say, okay, yeah, let me not put it down for now and then just do some more stuff. It's like, for example, um, you're used to making money one way. So you're doing employee stuff. You're being an employee, getting your employee check and all these things, and you also have so now you have stocks. So if you're employee, you're getting payroll and all those things. You have all the things now to actually open a bank account and all the and all these stuff. So there was a point in time where you weren't an employee; you were basically a self um so like there are levels. So yeah, when we're younger, your family usually give you money and stuff. Then eventually you start making your money. And then sometimes your business owner is inconsistent. But when you're employee, you're getting a salary. You're getting a salary. And that salary is good for a while. But eventually good because you're upgrading. Yeah, the salary is way more than what your family would have given you and stuff. So the salary is way more, and you're doing work. So it's an upgrade. So you will upgrade from that, and you'll be like, yes, I'm making more money and all those stuff. I'm doing more stuff. But eventually, you just plateau, and what will happen is that no matter how much salary you get, even if it's $1 million check salary and stuff, the it will not change your lifestyle because what happens is that you still have the mentality of being poor. You have to come work a 9 to 5, get and all those stuff. Boom, and then next 2 weeks or what 3 weeks or whatever, then you get $1 million check. That's how you. That's how it goes. So even though you're making more money, it's still the same way. And then what happens is that you're making more money, but you still barely have the time to spend it. So what will happen is that why things like investing in stocks and all those stuff comes into play is that you're going to upgrade to so you're making more money, you're reaching all those stuff, but you still have the same mindset. You're not going to enjoy it. So it's like you have to invest in other stuff now. That's where you're investing in stock and all those stuff. You open different bank account, all those other stuff that at the time you weren't able to do because you were so poor become valuable now. And the thing is that you don't rush the process. You don't get up and say, okay, I'm going to invest in stock first. Because stocks is actually unsustainable. It's good when it's good, but it's bad when it's bad if you don't understand it and if you don't have the time to actually learn that. And if you're not in a space, you basically can take 6 months and boom, earn the stocks and something like that. Don't make no sense to do it. So it's like you can't watch another person journey. You have to just focus on your own journey. So boom, you're making that $1 million check and all that stuff. But they're still doing the same 9 to 5. It's good now to just actually focus on investing in stocks. Invest in stock now and then eventually you learn the trade and then it starts to pay off. Then you look to upgrade to a point where you actually need to do less work. So the next thing again about doing the payroll thing. So boom, you're making $1 million check, but you're still in the same position. You don't apply for a bigger position. You apply for a better position where boom. Sometimes when you apply for a better position, you do less work, but it's more important work. You're doing more. It's actually less work. You have more time to actually do other stuff. That's a form of upgrade as well. A form of upgrade as well. But the thing is that some people may be like, yo, you're making that $1 million check, but you're basically doing the same work every day and you just stop doing the same work for the rest of their life. Boom, you're not gonna upgrade because you're so used to that lifestyle. Yes, you're so used to that mindset. And then what happened is that you're making more money, but you still have that same mentality from all those work. Is that the solution that you had at that level becomes more destructive the more money you make because it's like you say, okay, I'm living paycheck. You have the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, but mentality, but you're making $1 million a fortnight now. It's like, you're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. that mentality is gone. So what will happen is that you are actually living a very more destructive life. A solution that you have when you basically doing the 9 to 5 thing now is living paycheck to paycheck. It's actually becoming more destructive because you're making more money now than when you're constructive. So things like you do things like you'll say, okay, I'm gonna buy more sodas and all those things because it's relatively cheaper, buy things in bulk and all those stuff. Where if you're basically making $1 million check now, you say, okay, me invest in buying more healthy related foods because my health would actually um spend more. I would actually invest in maybe clean my teeth and all those stuff. Do things to actually make yourself healthy. You go to the gym more and all those things. Because you're still in that same 9 to 5 lifestyle, but you're making more money. You're able to do more things now to keep your body healthy. But the thing is that if you do not realize that, and you're still making the same $1 million check, but they still have the same scarcity mindset, you come back, buy the same unhealthy food, do the same unhealthy things, go back to the same place, but you're making more money. So one thing is that you're buying more of those stuff. Boom, your health decrease, and then you'll be like, you're making all that money for nothing. You're making all that money for nothing because you're still living the same unhealthy lifestyle. So that's one of the things where the richer sometimes you get the richer you get, the solutions that you have in your poorer days becomes more destructive because it was good at that time. It was good. It was a great solution at that time. But as you get richer, it becomes more destructive because better solutions are there have when you're richer. Better solutions are there when you're richer. So if you just like boom, I buy a low quality phone, and then no, and if my phone did not break, I would not actually go out and try to figure out how to get the new phone. But what if um so all these privileges now that I get with this new phone, it's really convenient. But what if I did not? What if I was to say that, you know what, that phone was working still, even if it did not crack, if that phone is working still, making a lot more money, I'm gonna save a lot more, and then I'll just wait until it breaks and stuff. Eh, I guess what would happen is that all the opportunities that have get upgrading a new phone is I would not get them until late, and then when I actually get it though, it will be late and be like, oh my god, if I actually did this way earlier, I would be so much further. And so, but luckily, the phone actually dropped that day and it forced me to actually go into the future and getting this better phone. And then now I have an updated mindset where be like, back in the days I would just buy something that is more affordable. But now I'm this new mindset that, okay, I maybe work towards actually getting the latest quality phone and always matching that latest quality phone. I'm not there as yet. But no, the fact that actually work and reach this far, it it shows you the new level. It shows you the benefits of the richer lifestyle, and to say that okay, the, the lower quality phone, it was good for that time, but you know, is once you have the ability to upgrade to the better phone, it's better to actually do it now. And it's one of those things where yeah, this I have to look at life where we're like, yo, solutions when you have when you're poor, it's relevant at that time. It's just one of those things where if you're in a bad situation, boom, and your phone breaks, it don't make sense to go out and say, okay, I'm gonna look to buy the latest phone still. No, it makes sense to just say try to keep that phone that you have as good as long as possible until you're in a position to buy a better phone or buy a more cheaper phone to stay at that point. But recognize your situation, but know that okay, if you bounce back and then you live in an even more richer lifestyle, the poorer solutions that you have in those days becomes way more destructive. You were saying that okay, I'm still gonna keep the phone and all those stuff. Doesn't make no sense. It makes sense to just back, upgrade up to the latest phone again, and then boom, transfer all those stuff and be like, yo, time, and then try to move up the levels so that boom, when the poorer days come again, you're in a better situation. The poorer solution is not gonna affect you as much more, more. So that's how to really do it where you, you upgrade your mindset, you upgrade. So that's one of the benefits or one of the reasons of getting richer as well. You get the richer solutions, but don't neglect poor solutions. But you understand the reason why the richer solution is better. You understand why the richer solution is better, and you do and you make it a smarter, richer move. Yes, don't make no sense. You're out there going and you say, okay, I'm just gonna upgrade my phone because that's the trend. That's the trend. No, you know why you're doing it. You know why you're upgrading a new phone. You know why you're actually upgrading your house. Why you're moving out of the house. You know why um all the stuff that all the stuff that you usually do in a family home because there are multiple people now. You're in your bachelor home now. You're basically living alone. All those stuff that you usually do is not relevant at this time because you're at home alone. So boom, your cost of living is cheaper. All that stuff is cheaper. So it's better to actually just live that lifestyle, grind and save and stuff. And then boom, eventually you become a family home now. What will happen is that all the lessons that you learn from your days growing up in a family home when you were younger, when you have your family home now, you will learn those lessons. All those will come back and be like, oh, okay, that's why I do it now. Solve those issues, but make it better. So your family will live a richer, more. Your family know that you build will have a better lifestyle than the one that you were coming from, and that's the best. That's how next thing about generational wealth and generational lesson and all those stuff is that you learn the lessons, you break the curses, but you build on it. You build on it, and so boom, your family, the generation after you have a way better lifestyle than you started with because you learn the lessons and then you get richer and then you find a better way to do the things. Find a better way to do the things. That's how you have to try approach it. So yeah, that's basically for this episode where when you get richer and stuff like that, some of the solutions that you have in your poor days becomes more destructive than constructive. Like a next way to think about it is that boom, you're a farmer, and boom, you always work in your farming days. You work in the market, and so that's with my grandmother and stuff like that. Boom, work in the market, sleep on the floors, and all those stuff. Oh, eventually the farming starts to boom, and all these things. You're making a lot of money, saving up, carrying kids to school, and all these things. But boom, after you make the money and go back, you say, okay, I'm just gonna go back, farm up my stuff because it worked. It works. Go back to the same street spot and sell the same things, and then boom, it'll work because that's the formula that works. It works. Instead of saying, okay, eventually I reach a point now, let me invest in a house. That's what, and then eventually I work my way out of the streets. No, I'm a house person now, and then my farming now is more towards my family, just to feed my family. Then I do other stuff now, like she did sewing and all those things. No, I can invest in sewing now, which is more less way less um dangerous. I'm doing it in the house and all those stuff. So I carry me far away, traveling all the world. But I still have the knowledge of farming. So when I actually need to farm up some food, I can actually do it. Farm up, feed my farm and all those stuff. But I'll upgrade my skill set. My skill set carry to a different country farming, sowing for all these other people and all these things. And boom, that's how it boom upgrade and eventually boom in the retirement years you invest in a lot. And you're living off your you're living your retired years balling. Living your dream life, everybody hating. Everybody hating because they make all these small decisions. You make these small decisions and live to better yourself and your family and getting all this hate. But you're looking at them like, oh my god, I'm glad. She always sing this song and be like, yo, show me where you brought me from of where I could have been. And and she's in that situation in her home, retired, and be like, oh my god, yo, I could actually be out there still in the streets selling, farming. I know, yeah, it's a good thing that I actually invested in the house and all those stuff. She showed me, that's how she always thinks about it. Be like, yo, I could be out there on the streets still selling that going the bus early in the morning selling farming and selling in the streets. It's a good thing now I'm in the house now. Living up my family out here supporting all those stuff. My family is in a good situation where they can support me in all these things. A good thing I do that. And be like sometimes be like go out and say, oh my god, see some people out in the street and be like, oh my god, I'm glad I made this decision. So it's like that's the thing. You go out and you say, boom, you want to make money, you want to open a business. Yeah, the business farm that you had works and it works and you're making all this, you're making all this money, then boom, you reach a plateau. It's good to actually try to upgrade to a better solution so that you can upgrade because what happens that the formula that you use after a while it becomes a detriment. It becomes a detriment where you'll be like, yeah, it's doing more bad than good. You're actually what will happen is that all the business competition catch up to that. Everybody doing it. Everybody doing it. So yeah, your formula does not work anymore. Your price goes down and then everything change and then boom, one of the competitors make a better solution, eventually you come out of business. You come out of business because well you did not find a better solution when you're in a richer state. Boom, you'll go back down to zero. And it's like that's basically how you have to actually approach it. When you reach a richer level, you have to find a better solution because sometimes the poorer solutions that we have in the poorer days becomes more destructive than constructive. Yeah, that's basically it for this episode. That's I look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.